Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become comfortable in a nice seated position, either on a pillow, blanket, block, your choice, something that allows your spine and the back of your neck to sit nice and long and tall, opening up your chest, opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Let's just take a moment and gently close our eyes and soften our thoughts. Soften our eyes. Soften our shoulders. Soften our heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is tapas. So in the 8 limbs of yoga, the second limb is the niyamas, the guidelines on how to interact with yourself. And a third of 5 niyamas is tapas. And it's T-A-P-A-S, tapas, not topless. And it means self-discipline. And tap comes from the Sanskrit to heat or to burn. You may be familiar with the Spanish small plates called tapas. And those are all intentionally small cooked little morsels of food. We practice tapas by using self-control and discipline to maintain that controlled fire within. It helps us to get unstuck and push through to positive change and transformation. Just like a controlled burn is done to a field or a forest, clearing out down to the core of the earth, this helps to restore nutrients, leading to a desirable plant growth. Applying it to our lives encourages us to stay in the fire, the uncomfortable, knowing it will allow us to grow in a more healthy way. So for our pranayama this morning, I'd like to do Bhastrika, which is breath of fire or bellows breath. And the natural breath is an inhale, is a little bit more active than the exhale. In Bhastrika, both inhale and exhale are very active. If you could think of a bellows, that flame helps to build a fire by pushing air on it. That's what we're going to be doing with our stomach. And it energizes the body and the mind and improves awareness. So if you can visualize, maybe put your hand on your belly and On the inhale and the exhale, we're going to have it be kind of very active, almost like a dog panting in the summer, but we're going to have our mouth closed so the action comes through our nostrils. So with your hand on your tummy, you just start and so that is the Bhastrika. And again, it's to energize your body and your mind. That fires you up. And so for our meditation this morning, I'm going to introduce you to the mudra Rudra mudra. And it's the thumb, the index finger, and the ring finger put together. And it's associated with your solar plex, which is, if you study the chakras, it's the third chakra. And that's where that fire in your belly resides. And with this mudra, the Rudra mudra, it helps to enhance your personal will, your self-discipline, and transformation. So let's just take a few moments. I'm going to go back to the mat. Also, my affirmation, I stick that in now. So the affirmation, if you want to have that with your meditation, it is, I will keep the fire in my belly lit. I will keep the fire in my belly lit. So let's just take a few moments on that to meditate. You may open your eyes and we'll begin our asana practice. Today, I'm going to have an asana practice, but I'm also going to sprinkle in a few poses from the 5 Tibetan rites. And the 5 Tibetan rites is also known as the Fountain of Youth. So it's always nice to stick that in there. It's 5 poses, and I'll identify them when we come across them as I sprinkle them in. And those 5 are done together, and they're done repeatedly. So the idea of the 5 Tibetan rites is you start off basic with doing the 5 poses 3 times. And then as you move up, you do it for 6 times, 9 times, 12 times, the max being 21. That's the what you want to achieve. So you're doing these 5 poses to a limit of 21 times. And people just do that. And talking about the fire, the tapas, that fire in your belly, that repetition actually creates a lot of burn. And we'll be doing some repetitious moves today. And I'm going to strive for 6 times for each so that it gets a little bit burny. And if it's too much for you, back off. It's totally your choice. You can do 3. We're going to try to do 6 to just emphasize the fact that that burn will help with your transformation. So let's start. And again, I'll identify when I say Tibetan, blah, 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 you'll know that's one of the Tibetan poses. So we're going to start with our seated sun breaths and chest openers, which is not Tibetan. So we'll inhale, lifting our arms up, and then bringing them down in front of us, opening up our chest, opening up our arms, bring those shoulder blades toward one another, and then closing on the exhale. Inhale back up, and then come down. And maybe we'll do it just a little bit quicker to try to get a little bit more action and activity and energy going here. Down, open up wide. Exhale, close. Inhale up, and exhale down. We'll do a number of these at your own pace and just kind of feel that energy rising in you. We'll do a couple more. Let's do one more. Alrighty, bring our fingertips back down to the mat. We'll raise them up overhead, and as we do, we're going to take our torso and turn it to the left and bring our hands down. Right hand lands on our left knee, left hand right behind our hip bones, turning our torso to the left, sending our gaze straight ahead. And take a couple of deep breaths. And then inhale, we'll sweep our hands up. We'll just twist over to the right, bringing our left hand down on our right knee, right fingers right behind our hips, turning our torso to the right. We'll see how long our visitor stays today. And then coming back to center. Then we're going to roll down on our mat. You can choose which method you'd like, either knees bent, knees straight, or hands tucked under your knees and do kind of an express back. I'm going to do knees bent today. Just lower one vertebrae at a time down to the mat, bringing my knees to my chest, and just give them a nice gentle hug. Maybe rock your lower back, just kind of warm up your spine. And then with our interlaced fingers, we're going to place them on our right knee and extend our left leg all the way down to the bottom of the mat. And you can land it on the mat, the heel on the mat, or have it hover just a little bit above. Here I'd like you to focus, and today we're going to do a lot of movements, and focusing on your solar plex and tucking, stay off and tuck your navel to your spine. This is going to be pretty important today, really focusing on that, tucking your navel to the spine, sending your lower back down to the mat, or even when we're standing, tucking your navel to the spine. And then we'll switch legs, bring the left back, extend the right leg. Again, you can either land your heel on the mat or hover it just a little bit, focusing on that navel tuck to the spine. Really get that sensation in your muscle memory. And then bringing the knees back. Give them both a nice gentle hug. Then we're going to send our knees up so that they are right above our hips, as if you're sitting in a chair. Our feet go out straight from there, so your legs at a kind of an L shape or 7 shape. Place our hands on the mat, palms down, and support ourselves. Shoulder blades are nice and snug in the mat. Then we're just going to drop the right foot down and lift it up, and then the left foot down, bringing that back up, and then both feet down and bringing that up. And we're going to do that 6 times. This is not a Tibetan one, but we're working up to one. So drop, breathe up, drop the left and back up, drop both, back up, 1, drop right, back up, drop left, drop back up, drop both, 2, drop right, drop left, drop both, 3, drop right, drop left, drop both, back up, 4, and again, just to emphasize your lower back, navel tuck to the spine, drop right, drop left, drop both, 5, I think, and then drop right, drop left, drop both for 6. All right, so now we're going to put our arms up and interlace our fingers behind our head so that our head's just going to be cradled by our hands, and our elbows are straight out, and they should stay straight out even as we progress. So we're going to have our legs in the same position, knees over our hips, as if we're sitting in a chair, and we're going to lift the left leg or right toes up, pointing to the sky, lift the left toes up, pointing to the sky, and then both toes go up, and as both toes go up, we're going to do a Tibetan leg lift. So that's bringing your chest and your chin up toward your legs, keeping your elbows out to the side, navels tucked to the spine, and come back down. And we'll do that 6 times. So lifting the right foot up, down, left foot up, down, and both feet up and come up, and keep your navel tucked to the spine, elbows out and down. Right foot up, left foot up, both feet, chin, chest up. That's the Tibetan leg lift. Right foot up, left foot up, both feet up. 3, right, left, both for 4, right, left, both for 5, right, left, both for 6. Then release, and we're going to roll up, so you can roll over to your side and make your way to your hands and knees, or you can tuck your fingers underneath and kind of rock and roll on your spine until you come to a seated position. And then come over your knees, coming into tabletop on your hands and knees. Once we're in tabletop, we're going to do some just head turns. So just check that your wrists are right below your shoulders, pushing gently, supporting both, or having your weight supported by both hands. Knees are right below your hips, navel's tucked to the spine. And then gently turn your head to the right, and then back to center and over to the left. And just keep a nice even flow going here from right to left. We'll have you do it at your own pace. And just relax your neck, your upper shoulders. And then back to center, and we'll do some cat-cows, again at your own pace. So we're gonna exhale, rounding the back, dropping the head and tailbone down. And then lifting our head and tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead. For cow, rounding our back, head and tailbone go down. For cat. And then lifting our head and tailbone up for cow. And then again, just go at your own pace, synchronizing your movements with your breath. And then just two more. Really feeling that stretch. And then come back to tabletop. And we're going to do some bird dogs. So keeping your knees apart as opposed to bringing them together. We're going to do a bird dog where we bring our opposite knee and elbow together underneath us. So we're going to extend our right leg out, left arm out, and then bring them knee to elbow underneath our torso, and then back out again. And then out. So it's 1, 2, extending it. 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll bring that down and do the other side. So just assess your alignment here. Wrists under your shoulders, weight evenly distributed in your hands, knees below your hips. And then we're going to send out to the left leg and the right arm. And then bring the right elbow, left knee together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll bring that hand and knee back down. So then we're going to walk our hands back, not curling our toes, because we're going to bring our hips to our heels. And the next Tibetan pose is a camel. I'm going to do the modified camel. Camels on my back aren't the best of friends. So to do the modified, I'm going to take my fingertips and just place them in front of my toes and lean back so that my palms are fully on the mat. So with a Tibetan, they do the full, actually their feet are down on the mat, but they do the full camel pose like that. And you can do that if you like, if that works for you. I like the modified. It's just a little more back friendly for me. So my tips of my fingertips are touching the tips of my toes, palms are fully on the mat. And I'm going to do 6 inhales and exhales. The inhale, I'm going to lift my head up to the sky, to the tops of the trees, not straight up, just to the tree tops. And then on the exhale, I'm going to tuck my chin to my chest. So lifting your eyes up to the sky on the inhale, exhale down for 1. Inhale, exhale down for 2. Inhale, exhale down for 3. Inhale, exhale down for 4. Inhale, exhale down for 5. Inhale, and exhale down for 6. Now, I actually didn't think that would have any burn element to it, but I can actually feel a little bit of burn in the tops of my thighs. So, coming back to tabletop, and this time we're going to tuck our toes under, walk our hands back, coming into a squat, and then pushing down, coming up into mountain pose. With our big toes facing the long edge of our mat, we're going to lift our toes up off the mat and bring them down, then lift our heels gently off the mat and bring them down. Just really feel that connection to the earth, to your mat. Feel the strength and the stability and the stillness of mountain pose. And then with mountain pose, the essentials of good posture. Your legs are nice and straight and strong, gentle bend in your knees, navel's tucked to the spine, and as you tuck, you're lifting your spine, the back of your neck up, shoulders are relaxed and rolled back, opening up your chest. Chin is tucked slightly toward your chest. The crown of your head reaches up to the sky. And then we'll take it deep inhales, lifting our arms up overhead. And exhale, bringing our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go, support our lower back. And then bring our hands to our shins, create a nice flat back, long neck. And then dropping our head down toward the mat. Just let gravity take over here for a moment. Check in with how you're doing today. And then sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. And coming up onto your tippy toes as you send your hands up to the sky. And then we'll bring the hands back down and slowly lower our heels back down. And we'll do this 6 times, but let's do it a little faster. So inhale, coming up on your toes. Exhale, coming back down. 2. Inhale up. 3. Inhale up. 4. Inhale up. 5. And you're doing that all with control. And inhale. And last one down. 6. Bringing your hands all the way down to the mat, bending your knees. Inhale. Hands to your shins. Flat back. Dropping crown of your head down toward the mat. And sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And we'll do some side stretches, not 6 of them. We just need to do 2 little ones. So sending your right hand down and then sliding it down to your right knee. And then coming back up. Sending your left hand down, we'll slide it down to your left knee, coming back up. Again, sliding it down, your right leg toward your right knee, coming back up. And last one, we could do 6, but we have other things to do, places to go and poses to do. So then we'll bring our hands back down, dropping our hands to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, bringing our hands to our shins, nice flat back, half forward fold. And then dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. And then we'll put both fingertips on the mat or on the floor, and we're going to do some squats, and we will do 6 of these. So we're coming down, bringing your hips down toward the mat, and coming up onto the balls of your feet, and then extending your legs back and coming back to a forward fold. So that's 1, bending your knees, coming down into a squat, and then sending your heels back down to the mat, straightening your legs, again, keeping that soft bend, don't lock your knees. That's 2, squatting down, back to forward fold, that's 3, bending your knees, coming into a squat, and then bending your heels back down, coming into forward fold, that's 4, bending your knees, back to forward fold, it's 5, and last time, bending your knees to the squat, and then coming back to forward fold, that's 6. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead, palms come together, palms come to heart center, and palms come to the back of our hips. Fingertips pointing down, relaxing our shoulders back, front of our heads up, chins tucked slightly toward the chest, and then just relaxing your shoulders and dropping them backward for supported back bend. Come to the point where you still feel a nice even flow of your breath, and adjust. And then come back up. And then the next one we'll do is the Tibetan spin. I get motion sick, so I'm going to do this slowly. And I don't know how ballerinas and dancers do the spinning, figure skating, do the spinning without getting really wicked sick. But so the Tibetan spin is just turning around in a circle. So I'm going to do 6 of these, maybe 3 to one side and 3 to the other. So arms straight out, and we'll just turn. I'm going to turn to the left, make a full circle. My arms out. 1, 2, 3, back to center. I'm going the opposite direction. I'm already feeling a little dizzy. Maybe this will counterbalance it. 1, 2, 3. Well done. So that's part of it. So far we've done 2 Tibetan ones, a leg lift and the spins. Alrighty, so we're going to sweep our hands, coming into mountain pose, sweep our hands up overhead, big inhale. And then exhale, bringing our hands to the mat. forward fold, and then half forward fold, hands to shins. And then hands back down to the mat and extend both feet to the back of the mat, coming into plank pose. And the wrists are right below the shoulders. Heels are pushing down to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked into the spine, creating a little bit of height in your hips, no saggy belly. And then we'll come down to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Coming down slowly. We'll land. And then we're going to do a combination of up dog to downward dog, and that's a Tibetan pose. So we have the tops of my feet nice and snug in the mat. I'm going to push down into my hands, which are right below my shoulders, elbows tucked to the side. So I'm going to extend my arms fully, coming up. So my hips are off the mat. My feet are on, the tops of my feet are on the mat. This is up dog. So to switch to downward dog, I'm going to flip my feet so that I'm now on the balls of my feet, and then send my hips up to the sky. So do that 6 times. So back to up dog, coming back to plank. Go onto the tops of your feet, and then send your hips down toward the mat, but not all the way to the mat for up dog. And then flip your feet back, and then send your hips up to the sky. That's 2. Coming back to plank, tops of the feet go down on the mat, sending my hips down toward the mat, arms fully extended, and then flip my feet, extend my hips up to the sky. That's 3. Back to plank, up dog, flipping my feet, hips go up for downward dog. That's 4. Coming back to plank, flipping my feet, sending my hips down, flipping my feet back, hips go back up. That's 4, 5, call it 5, I lost count. Back to plank, tops of the feet, hips go down, then back, flipping the feet back, hips go back up to downward dog for 6. And then we'll walk our feet up to our hands, coming into a forward fold, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. We'll come to the side of our mat, facing the long side of our mat into a wide-legged stance. Toes are pointing to the tipped corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in. And we'll do a few goddesses. So bringing the arms up to the star. We're going to then bend our knees and bend our arms at the same time. And then straighten out our arms. Then straighten, or then come back to goalposts. And then push down our legs, coming back up to star. We're going to do that 6 times. So bending the knees and the elbows down, straightening out the arms, coming back to goalposts, and then pushing back up to star. 2, bending down both elbows and knees, straightening out the arms, coming back to goalposts, and then pushing legs up to star. 4, bending down, straightening out the arms, back to goalposts, back up to 5, and one last time, bending down, straightening out the arms, back to goalposts, and then 6. And then we're going to bring our arms down to shoulder height, pivot our feet to the left, coming into warrior 2. And this, we're gonna keep our arms in motion so that you might feel a little bit of burn in your arms. So with ourselves in a nice, comfortable warrior two, we're gonna drop the back arm down and make a full circle and have it come back to its warrior two position. So that's one, back down and around, two, down and around, three, down and around, four, down and around, five, down and around, six, and then we'll go into reverse warrior. So sending the left arm up to the sky, right arm goes down to the thigh, and then sending the left arm to your left thigh, sweeping the right arm all the way over, sending it toward the front of the mat so you have a nice straight line from your leg to your fingertips. And then bringing that right hand down, coming into runner's lunge, and then bringing the back foot up to meet the front foot, coming into forward fold, and then back up. Hands go up above, and then back down to heart center. And we'll do that on the other side. So in that one, well, we had the downward dog be the downward dog, up dog to downward dog be the Tibetan one. So we'll do that again. Sweeping our hands all the way up and then back down. Palms come to the mat. Setting both feet back to plank. And then slowly, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, come down to the mat. And then we'll do 6 of that Tibetan downward, up dog, down dog combination. So the tops of my feet are in the mat. Gonna extend my arms fully, coming into up dog, and then flip my feet over, come into downward dog. And then back to plank, flipping my feet down, sending my hips down toward the mat, back to up dog, and then flipping my feet, lifting my hips up for 2, back to plank, flip the feet, lower the hips, flip the feet, raise the hips for 3, come back to plank, flip the feet, lower the hips, flip the feet, raise the hips for 4, come back to plank, flip the feet, lower the hips, flip the feet, raise the hips for 5, come back to plank, flip the feet, lower the hips, flip the feet, raise the hips for 6. And we'll walk our feet up to our hands, coming into a forward fold, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead, big inhale, exhale, hands come to heart center. We'll come back to the wide-legged stance. Again, your toes are pointing to the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in. And we'll do the arm, raising the arm up to star position, bending the knees, bending the elbows, straightening the arm, back to goal pose, back up for 1, down, straight out, back to goal post for 2, down, straight out, back to goal post for 3, down, straight out, goal post for 4, down, straight out, goal post for 5, And last one, down, straight out, goalpost for 6. And then we'll come into warrior 2, so lowering your arms to shoulder height, flipping your feet in the opposite direction. Mine are heading right now. Coming into warrior 2. And we'll drop our back arm down, make circles. Come all the way back to warrior 2 position. So that's 1. Down and around and back for 2. Down and around and back for 3. Down and around and back for 4. Down and around and back for 5. Down and around and back for 6. And then we'll go into reverse warrior, peaceful warrior. So dropping the back arm down, lifting the right hand up to the sky. And then bringing that left or right arm down to your right thigh, sweeping the left arm all the way to the front. Nice straight line from toes to fingertips. And then bringing the left hand down to the mat, coming into runner's lunge. And then we'll bring the left foot up to meet the right foot, coming into forward fold. And sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. So this last segment incorporates the very last of the Tibetan poses. So we're going to start off with our wide-legged squat. So our toes, pinky toes go to the edge of the mat. Heels are tucked in. Palms come to heart center. And we'll lower our hips down to the mat or toward the mat. Stop before you reach the mat. And our elbows are tucked nicely in the inner part of our knees. And then we'll bring our sit bones down onto the mat, come into staff pose. So staff pose, our feet are flex toes up to the sky. You're on your sit bones, so I usually make little fists and lift my hips up and off so I can really feel that connection with the mat. We're going to place both palms on the mat right below our shoulders. So with your shoulders, kind of look down, see that your palms are a nice straight line from where your shoulder are. They're not ahead or they're not back, just right down from where your shoulders are. And then we're going to bring our feet, the soles of our feet down to the mat. And you may want to have a nice open V shape in your feet. And you're going to adjust after your first one. So we'll kind of just come into a nice, you're not close toward your hips or not standing too far down. Just feel that nice, comfortable spot where your knees bend gently. And the last Tibetan pose is a reverse table. We don't often do this. And this is where tucking your navel to your spine is really key. And what happens and the other key thing is exhaling when you're lifting up. Because otherwise, it's kind of funny, but I notice I get this loaf of bread on my stomach when I'm lifting up and I'm inhaling. So you'll want to exhale, so you try to keep that navel to the spine thing going on. So we're going to push down our feet, lifting our hips up to the sky, exhaling. Navel's tucked to the spine. So that's 1. Coming back down. Inhale, exhale. 2. Come back down on the inhale. Exhale back up. Breathe. Come back down. Exhale back up. 4. Come back down. Exhale back up. 5. Back down. And the last one, exhale. 6. And just hold it for a minute. Head's looking straight up, not dropped back. And then come back down. Now, again, with these Tibetan poses, the 5 Tibetan poses, we did 6 of each one. Again, the max that they have for this particular set is 21. So people would be doing 21 of those, 21 twirls, 21 of the cat or up dog, down dog things. So we're gonna roll back down. I'm gonna use the express method, bringing my knees to my chest, giving them a nice hug. Let's see here. Oh, that's all I had. Okay. So we'll just send our arms out to the sides. We'll go into a reclined twist. You will relax here for a little bit. So exhaling, sending your knees to the right. And then gently turning your head to the left. Look at your left fingertips. And then gently turn your head back so it's looking up to the sky. Inhaling, lifting your legs back up. And then lowering your legs to the left on the exhale. And slowly turning your head to the right. Look at your right fingertips. And then slowly turning your head back to center. Lifting your legs back up. And sliding them down the end of the mat. Prepare for Shavasana. Bringing your arms closer to the side with the palms up. And taking a few deep breaths, maybe exhaling through your mouth, letting your body just relax, soak up today's nutrients. Like I mentioned before, one of my very first apps that I ever got was called Yoga 101, and it was only 2 classes. And one of the things she said often was, the magic is in the repetition. So I think the repetition of the class, but also the repetition of the poses, and that adds another dynamic to your practice, is when you're doing multiple sets of poses. And for today's piece, it's not a poem, it's excerpt from one of my favorite books, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it speaks to Tapas. She said, "The land gives us so many gifts. Fire is a way we can give back. In modern times, the public thinks fire is only destructive, but they've forgotten, or simply never knew, how people used fire as a creative force. The fire stick was like a paintbrush on the landscape. Touch it here in a small dab, and you've made a green meadow for elk. A light scatter there burns off the brush, so the oaks make more acorns. Stipple it under the canopy, and it thins the stand to prevent catastrophic fire. Draw the fire brush along the creek, and the next spring, it's a thick stand of yellow willows. A wash over a grassy meadow will turn it blue with camas. To make blueberries, let the paint dry for a few years and repeat. Our people were given the responsibility to use fire to make things beautiful and productive. It was our art and our science."